Hi guys, my name is Griffin, and today we are covering what was the weirdest question you got asked on a first date? Please consider subscribing if you enjoy the video. Do you mean to give off such a strong grandma energy? The guy I was out with asked me this when I was 22, but now I realize that I do give off a strong grandma energy and just lean into it. Do you want to come back to my place and play my mandolin? And then she meant it. I got a 45-minute mandolin lesson at no charge. Dude kind of awkwardly leaned forward after some hours of talking and sort of half whispered, "You're not a furry, right?" He was incredibly relieved when I told him I wasn't. I once went on a date that turned out to be a recruitment for a cult, so I guess being asked to join a cult would be the weird question. This was a few years ago, but I once took a girl out who asked me to buy her an iPhone, and when I laughed it off she told me she was serious. When I said no, she asked if I would buy her a 12-pack of Mike's Hard Lemonade, and at this point I was done. Turns out she lied about her age and was only 19. Took her home immediately and blocked her across the board. If I became a quadriplegic, how long would it take for you to leave me? She had lots of others as well, like when was the first time you met a ghost? Depending on your political views, this might not last very long, because I'm super opinionated. Oh, well okay. What are your political views? I don't want to talk politics on a first date. Are you broke? While I understand they're probably searching for a stable future, but like, girl, we just met and I'm paying for your food and drinks tonight. Don't pry into my wallet that much yet. This dude told me I had a good wife, or whatever the frick that means, and then he asked me if I'd consider making him my husband. And it wasn't like a cute quirky joke or anything. He was very serious and very odd, and it's probably the most uncomfortable I've ever been. This guy also tried to tell me my severe allergies were all in my head. I'm not sure if it counts as a date, but we went and picked up pizza to bring back with us to his dorm. While we were in the restaurant waiting for our order, he seemed very eager to show me photos of his roommates and wanted me to rate them based on their appearances. I was thrown off a bit, but whatever, I played along. On the walk back to campus, he finally admitted why he was being so weird. He told his roommates I was open to having group sex and was trying to get me interested before I got to their dorm. I was very clearly not interested, but he still asked after a few awkward minutes, "So do you think you'd be down if it's just 3 guys?" They keep texting me asking, took the pizza from him and walked myself back to my dorm instead. I went on a first date with a girl who looked up a list of 20 things you shouldn't talk about on a first date, and she went down the list asking me about each one of them. We both answered each question, so religion, political beliefs, past sexual experiences, emotional baggage, relationship with your parents, you name it. We got married a couple years back. A dude once asked me how many fingers I could fit inside myself within the first 10 minutes of meeting up. If we have a son, would he have a small dong? Because you're Asian? I didn't even answer the guy. I just left the restaurant and went home. So what do you want to do next? Steve. My name is not Steve. If I would put a Q-tip soaked in alcohol in his urethra. He said he had a micro peanuts and enjoyed humiliation. I went to the restroom and ducked out. Some dudes are really strange. Will you be my girlfriend? When I was 20 and in uni, I met a guy off Tinder. We'd only ever really exchanged small talk on there, and he asked this less than 2 hours into the date. He also took a selfie of us and put it on Instagram. I declined. Put it down to either nerves or something. He then got really drunk. Too drunk to walk, but claimed he had no money for a taxi. I lived around the corner and begrudgingly let him crash, because I felt responsible if something happened to him. He then tried to convince me to get day drunk with him and skip lectures all day. I declined. It was one of the worst dates I've ever had. I was born with cerebral palsy. It impacts only my legs and is relatively mild. I walk with a pretty pronounced limp, but otherwise I do alright. Used to work in a call center and became fast friends with this woman who worked on my team. Eventually we went on a half-assed date, because she was going to be moving across the country in a few weeks. We got talking about my disability and she just up and asks out of nowhere, "What is sex like for you? Is it difficult? You must have a pretty big dong, no? Right?" I was just flabbergasted for a moment and laughed. I said, "Sex is no more difficult than anything else. As for my dong, I guess that depends on your point of reference." I ended up asking her later why she would assume my disability would have granted me a magnum dong, and she just said, "I don't know. There's got to be a trade-off somewhere. We hooked up a few times before she left. What would you do if I stabbed you while holding a 3-inch knife? This was right after this dude grabbed me between my legs, over my jeans, and said this is mine. Needless to say, there was no second date. Met a girl via online dating. Met up. Midway through coffee she shows me her phone with a picture of an older lady on it. She asks me if I'd have sex with that woman in the right circumstances. Turns out the woman was her mother. She later explained that she wanted to make sure I'd still find her attractive when she's old and looks like her mum. Met a girl one time to go bowling. Before she got in my car she asked me if it was okay if she brought her bowling ball. Little did I know that she was the state champ bowler 2 years in a row and I got my ass handed to me. My dong size. Mind you, the date was merely hanging out at my place, and she asked me question in full earshot of my mother. If I would have a threesome with her and her gay friend, like, I could frick her if he could frick me, seemed like a bit of a bum deal, so I passed. Gal saw a bunch of bananas I had in my kitchen and asked as she rolled her eyes if I ate those things. I got asked if I liked boggle. The guy then pulled out a boggle board and proceeded to solo boggle to show me how great he was at boggling. Have you ever had a bad food experience here? Because last time me and my ex were here, blah blah blah. Yeah, no, please go on for the next 30 minutes about you and your ex's digestive issues. It's not as if I'm missing any productive dates here. The girl in question seemed nice, until she let her freak flag proudly fly with rapid fire questions of, do you have a high sperm count? And do you come a huge amount? Also, do you have a large enough peanuts? Because I need to know you can knock me up easy and early on for many kids. What? So what did you do to cause your ex to cheat on you? Pretty amazing moment in hindsight. Still took her home. I dated this ditzy blonde. She said you're like not one of those pedophile people, are you? Living in China. Get some awkward questions sometimes. Women when they get close to 30 or older don't want to waste any time, so they tend to be very direct. These were all from the same woman on the same date. How tall are you? Why aren't you married? How many girlfriends have you had? Did you love all of them? Why did you break up? Did you have any friends who work in IT? Can you introduce me? When I said no, she kept pressuring me, because she wanted someone to build a website for her. Probably the worst I've had. But many girls also like to mention how cute a mixed baby would be on our first date. Actually wasn't a question, but an affirmative. She said we'd have babies and live with her parents. Proceeded to have sex and then she asked to nut inside her. Nope. My mother once had a blind date that was a total dud. Before he dropped her back home, he brought her around to the trunk of his car and started a sales pitch to try and sell her a set of knives. Are you scared of me? I was honestly asked that by a girl, and I really didn't know how to answer her, because I was young and a part of me was scared of her. LOL. She was really cute. Do you know anything about hemorrhoids? Kinda weird first date material. Are you like Chinese or something? She proceeded to insist that I must be Chinese for the next 15 minutes. I am, in fact, not even a drop Asian. I have Asperger's. Been asked if it's legal to date or have sex with somebody on the autism spectrum. Not a date, but a random dude told me he wants to marry me. I decided to call his bullshit and told him okay, let's go. Never seen a dude freak out and run so fast. After I got home I realized I could have made it better if I was to chase after him. This was with an ex-classmate. Did you know how massive your boobs used to look in 9th grade? The guys were crazy. First date? Straight out of the blue. He didn't even used to be that good a friend back in school. Purely paraphrased from a Tom Rhodes bit. I'm on a date and she asks what kind of drugs do you like? And I thought what a refreshing and honest question, and I replied I like weed and booze. In my younger days I experimented with a lot more. But those days are pretty much behind me, other than maybe the occasional bump. However, once in a while when the time and the company is right, I'm completely down for a mushroom or acid trip. And she looks at me in horror and says I asked what kind of dogs you like. So not a weird question. But my wife asked me what my favorite sports are. I answered soccer and snooker. Then went on an hour-long explanation of what snooker is. She sat there patiently and listened to me. I can't believe I got a second date, let alone to marry her years later. She always brings this up though. If you're at a bank and the bank got robbed and you got shot in the arm, are you lucky? Asked by my husband on our first date. if I was gay. We were both dudes. Same date. He got really angry when I tried to split the bill and freaked out about how he was the man. Also lied about his age. So overall bad experience 0, 10. We were in a nice restaurant and after just a few sentences of introduction she asks me, "Are you a virgin? How many women have you been with? How much experience do you have?" It was a very weird date. Before we met for the first time, she asked me, "What do you sound like?" Just genuinely wondered what my voice sounds like. I mean, how do you even answer that? "How big is your dong?" She then grabbed the soul out of my meat. "Would you mind if 2 of my friends join in on the relationship?" I sorta made a promise to them. Somewhat tempting, seeing we all were girls, but it had me weird for a while. "Aren't you guys supposed to like it when a girl has her way with you?" She couldn't take hints to not fondle me in public. "Have you tried cocaine? Do you like it? Maybe we should go to my place and call my drug dealer 20 minutes into the date." Had a girl straight up ask me how much money I make. At the time, it wasn't much. Maybe 40k, which wasn't near her salary as a nurse. She spent a disproportionate amount of time talking about how much money she makes, and how she needs someone that makes enough money to support her and their future kids, because once she has kids, she's going to be a stay-at-home mum. That was the first and only date W that girl. "You don't have a shovel in your trunk or anything, right?" Apparently I can come off as a bit of a creeper. Married that one anyways, and now she knows where I keep my shovels. "Who did you vote for? Because I hate people who support XXXXX. Are you planning on getting a new car soon?" Whips out his used car salesman business card. "If I wanted to tie you up, would you think that is sexy? Do you have a church? I'd love to have you come to my church. I want to keep this short, unless you want to go back to my house and play COD with me and my friends." Like 5 guys still at his house waiting for him to return and play. Holy crap, I need to date a better class of nut jobs. "How would you react to me kidnapping you and just keeping you? First time I had to have police involved for something." "Taste this and tell me what you think." I proceed to eat the thing off of her fork at our table at the restaurant. I'm not really sure. What is it? I don't know. It was stuck to the side of my plate. She was a resident and offered to show me pictures of degloved body part. She kept patient info confidential for HIPAA reasons. I saw it. It was a unique experience. I thought and still think she is hot, but she wanted to be friends before relationship, but also Please subscribe if you like the video. It really helps the channel to grow. Adios.